The 7th of April, 1944. Auschwitz. Darkness. Total, absolute darkness. You cannot move. You cannot take a full breath. The space is so narrow your shoulders press against the wood on both sides. Next to you, another body, equally still, equally silent, breathing with the same shallow, deliberate care. Both of you running the same quiet calculation. How little air can a human being survive on, and for how long? You have been here for 47 hours. 25 more to go. Above you, boots, German commands, the scratch of claws on dry earth. One cough and it is over. One breath of panic, one involuntary flinch from a cramping leg and it is over. This is not a Hollywood thriller. This is April 1944, and 200 trained German shepherds have been unleashed across the most heavily guarded death factory in human history. The entire camp is on high alert. They are hunting two men, while thousands of soldiers scour the perimeter. Rudolf, Vrba, and Alfred Wetzler lie right beneath their feet inside a hollowed woodpile, inside a death factory, waiting. They found a flaw, a crack in a flawless machine of destruction. A 72-hour window so narrow it barely exists, wide enough for a ghost of a chance and nothing more. In 6 weeks, 437,000 people will board trains on a one-way journey. They will be told they are being resettled. They will carry their suitcases and hold their children's hands, and they will not know because no one on the outside yet knows the truth of where those trains are going and what is waiting at the end of the line. These two men are the only ones in the world who know, the only ones who can stop it. But how do two men survive 72 hours inside the most efficient killing machine ever built, and what happens to 500,000 people if they fail? Bratislava, 1942. Rudolf Vrba is 17 years old. He studies chemistry. He argues with professors. He reads more than he sleeps. He has a sister named Zuzi, 3 years younger, who believes, without doubt, that her brother will one day become a famous scientist. She has said this since she was 8, and she has not changed her mind. His mother calls him stubborn. He calls himself precise. His father, who has seen enough of Europe to know what is coming, calls him both. Then the knock comes. The knock always comes. Across German-occupied Europe, it is coming for every Jewish household. One by one, slow and methodical as a clock that cannot be stopped. Rudy knows this. He reads the newspapers, watches the trains at the Bratislava station, already understands what words like resettlement and temporary measures really mean. He has watched neighbors disappear. He has heard the explanations that explain nothing. He knows. But knowing and feeling are entirely different things, and nothing prepares you for the morning the soldiers stand in your own doorway, and the future you have built inside your head, the university, the laboratory, the life laid out in careful lines, collapses into a single suitcase you are told to pack quickly and carry with both hands. He is told, resettlement, east, work, a new home. He is 17, and he does not believe them. But he has no choice. Auschwitz, June 1942. Rudolf Vrba arrives at Auschwitz in June 1942, still 17. His assignment, Canada. The camp's dark joke, Canada, the land of plenty, is the name for the warehouse district where the belongings of arriving prisoners are sorted and packed for shipment back to Germany. His job is to sort the dead, not the bodies, the things they left behind. Suitcases, wedding rings, children's toys, the particular accumulation of a life carried by people who believed they were going somewhere and intended to come back. Mountains of it. More arriving every day. Every day, Rudy watches the trains come in. He watches the selection, the SS officer on the platform pointing left, pointing right, the terrified families splitting apart at that single gesture, mothers gripping their children's hands, not understanding that left means the gas chambers and right means the labor barracks, not understanding that left is not a temporary separation. One afternoon, a cattle car opens, and a girl waves through the wooden slats, maybe 14 years old. She waves the way children wave when they arrive somewhere hopeful. She is the same age as Zuzi. Rudy watches her walk left. He does not cry. He counts. He memorizes. He keeps a ledger in his head with the same precision he once gave to chemistry problems because someone must. Someone must carry this number out through the wire into the world where people still believe in showers and resettlement and the small mercies of a lie. By 1944, that number is 1,750,000. and the world does not know. That is the genius of the system, not just the efficiency, but the secrecy. The word showers painted on a door that leads to death. The letters prisoners write home, carefully worded because they know they are being read, saying the food is adequate, the work is hard, they are fine. The entire apparatus of concealment that keeps the trains running because the people boarding them do not know what the destination means. Rudy understands this with the clarity of someone who has spent 2 years watching it operate from the inside. And the understanding becomes a single burning conviction. If the truth breaks free of these fences, if someone gets out and tells the world what is actually happening here, it will save hundreds of thousands of lives. But the truth is locked behind electrified wire and 200 trained German shepherds. No one has ever escaped from Auschwitz to tell the world. If no one has ever escaped, and every attempt has ended in execution, what does a 19-year-old with no weapons and no allies actually do? By 1943, the plan begins. His partner, Alfred Wetzler, 26 years old, also Slovak, also Jewish, also counting the trains. Where Rudy is fire impatient, furious, restless, Alfred is stone. He listens more than he speaks. When Rudy says, "We have to go now," Alfred says, "Then we go prepared, or we don't go at all." Together, they study the failures. Dozens of escape attempts, all ending the same way. Caught, executed, and then collective punishment rolling across the surviving prisoners' hours at roll call in any weather while the dogs drag the recovered body through the camp as a demonstration. The punishment is designed not just to deter future attempts, but to make every prisoner understand that someone else's escape is a death sentence for everyone nearby. This is the cost they have not yet discussed openly. But Rudy and Alfred notice something none of the previous escapees looked at directly. Not how to breach the fence, not how to outrun the dogs, something earlier, something structural. Rudy paces the 20 meters between the two perimeter fences every morning on work details, counting steps, watching patterns, inner fence, outer fence. During the day, prisoners work in this space. At night, everyone is locked inside. When a prisoner goes missing, lockdown, roll call, the name confirmed, then the hunt. 200 dogs, hundreds of soldiers. The search runs for exactly 72 hours. Why 72? The Nazi logic is simple. After 3 days, a fugitive is assumed too far away. The soldiers are needed at the front. After 72 hours, the outer perimeter withdraws. Rudy stands at the fence one morning, and the thought arrives so clearly it almost frightens him. What if you don't run? What if you stay? What if you hide inside the camp somewhere the dogs cannot find you, and wait, completely still, for 72 hours until the cordon withdraws, and then walk out? It is madness. It requires nerves that may not exist. It requires a hiding place that may not exist. It is also the only plan that has never been tried. But there is a cost they cannot pretend is not there. If they escape and the Nazis trace who helped them, who smuggled the civilian suits, who created the distraction, who sealed the entrance, collective punishment falls on the entire block. 30 people. Men who have already survived 2 years of this place, who would be killed not for anything they themselves chose, but because Rudy and Alfred chose to go. People who trusted them with their lives by agreeing to help. Rudy and Alfred sit with this for a long time. Neither says it is simple, but the clock is already running. The Hungarian deportations are coming. If there is any chance that 2 men can get outside these walls and deliver the truth to the world in time, then the calculation, as terrible as it is, tilts in one direction. They will need a hiding place, and then they will need something else. Will a handful of soaked tobacco actually fool 200 trained killers, and what happens to the 30 people left behind if it doesn't? The answer to where you hide in a death factory is, of all things, a construction zone. The Nazis are building an expansion at the edge of the camp, preparing for the Hungarian Jews arriving in May 1944. The prisoners have named it the Mexico sector, because it sits at the far edge of everything and feels like foreign territory. The construction site is scattered with lumber, boards stacked in rough piles across the frozen ground. And Rudy has heard a rumor. A few weeks earlier, 4 prisoners tried something in that sector. They hollowed out a crawl space inside one of the large wood piles, climbed in, and asked their friends to seal the entrance. It worked. The dogs didn't find them. The guards walked past for the full 72 hours. They died only because of what happened after they emerged: a mistake on the outside, a loose word, bad luck. But they proved the one thing that needed to be proven. The hiding place works. Rudy finds that woodpile. He climbs inside. The darkness is total. The space is barely large enough for two bodies pressed together. No room to stretch, no room to roll onto your back. He runs his hands along the inner surface, and his fingers find something carved into the wood letters, cut deliberately by men who knew they were not coming back. Kiss our ass. 4 men scratched those words into the wood of their hiding place when they understood they would be caught and killed. They left this insult for the Nazis anyway. The furious, absurd defiance of it stays with Rudy for a long time. The hiding place is ready, but there is still the problem of the dogs. 200 German shepherds, trained to track human scent through concrete, through wood, through steel. A person hidden in a woodpile in normal circumstances would be found within minutes. Rudy needs to become invisible not to eyes, but to noses. The answer comes from a Soviet prisoner of war, one of the first batch from 1941, a man who has watched more escape attempts than anyone and knows what each one got wrong. One morning he presses something into Rudy's hand. Makorka, coarse Russian tobacco, dark and dense. Soak it, he says, in terrible German, in gasoline. The dogs won't find you. He doesn't explain how he knows. Rudy doesn't ask. A dog tracks microscopic particles of human scent in the air. But certain scents don't just confuse the olfactory receptors, they overwhelm them chemically, flooding the system so completely that everything else becomes inaudible. Makorka soaked in gasoline is that signal. A chemical wall. For weeks, Rudy and Alfred gather tobacco pinch by pinch, barter for it, occasionally steal it. They soak it, dry it, hide it against their bodies. By April 1944, they have enough. Every piece is in place, except for one variable that no plan can calculate. When you are lying in tomb-like darkness, with dogs scratching the boards centimeters from your face, will your body obey? Will the panic stay contained? Rudy is 19, Alfred is 26. They have survived 2 years of Auschwitz, but they have never done this. No one has. And if they are caught, the punishment falls on 30 people who trusted them. 30 people who chose to stay in the wire so that 2 men could try to get out. The risk is worth their own lives. The question is whether it is worth everyone else's. The clock is running. The Hungarian deportations are weeks away. 437,000 people. If Rudy and Alfred don't go now, those trains run on schedule. There is no more time for the weight of the decision. They go. The 7th of April, 1944, 2 p.m. They move in the afternoon, in civilian suits that have been folded flat inside a false panel for months pressed, passed from person to person, in a chain of trust so fragile that a single weak link would have ended everything. From a distance, in motion, the suits make them look like men who belong outside a fence. That is all they need. They walk at a steady pace toward the woodpile. Not fast, not slow. The walk of men with somewhere to be. Around them, friends the few who know are already moving. One stops a guard with a procedural question. Another drops something and retrieves it elaborately. Small gestures, carefully timed, pulling the SS's attention toward small problems in the middle distance, while 2 men in borrowed suits walk toward a lumber pile in the far corner of the Mexico sector. Rudy slides into the hollow first. Alfred follows. The space is exactly as tight as they knew it would be. The friends seal the entrance boards placed with the careful silence of people who understand that noise is death. Then the tobacco-gasoline mixture is scattered thickly across every surface, the sharp chemical smell cutting through the wood and filling the hollow. The entrance seals, and those friends walk back to the barracks, back to the danger zone, back to a place some of them will not leave alive. They could have climbed in themselves. Instead, they sealed their comrades inside and walked away. We do not know all of their names. Most of them did not survive the war. They made a choice in April 1944 inches, a place that offered almost no good choices, and then they disappeared back into the machinery. Sometimes, the most heroic act is not the escape. It is the decision to stay. Rudy and Alfred are alone, pressed together in total darkness. Above them, barely a meter above the life of the camp continues. Boots, distant commands, the sound of thousands of people going through the motions of an Auschwitz afternoon, none of them knowing what is happening beneath their feet. 5:30 p.m. Evening roll call. They hear it through the wood. The movement of large numbers of bodies assembling in organized lines. The SS, moving down rows with clipboards. counting the usual routine of a system that trusts nothing and verifies everything. Today, the numbers will not add up. 5:45. Nothing yet. Maybe a counting error. It happens. 6 p.m. Silence. Not the silence of resolution. The silence of people recounting, double-checking, arriving at the same answer twice. Rudy hears the quality of it through the boards and knows exactly what it means. There is no mistake. 6:12 p.m. The siren. It tears through the April evening like something physical. A sound designed not just to communicate, but to produce a specific effect in the body of everyone who hears it. In the hollow, Rudy and Alfred feel it in their chests. The camp erupts. German voices at high volume. The organized chaos of lockdown beginning. Check the barracks. Check the construction sites. Every corner. They can't have gone far. 200 German shepherds are unleashed. Rudy hears them before he processes them as individual animals. A wave of noise spreading from the center of the camp outward. The frenzy of 200 dogs given a command, and the open territory of an entire facility to cover. The scratch of claws on packed earth. The snapping of animals straining at the ends of leashes. Feverish sniffing getting closer. The dogs hit the Mexico sector. 5, 6, more flooding into the construction zone, handlers shouting, animals working a specific area with methodical thoroughness. One breaks from the rest. Its claws find the side of the woodpile. Short, sharp sounds, the percussion of a dog working close, sniffing in rapid bursts, moving along the base. It works its way around the structure. It stops directly above their heads. Rudy does not breathe. Alfred does not breathe. The body makes the choice before the mind can catch up, the ancient reflex of a prey animal that knows the predator is a hand's width away. The dog is so close that through the boards Rudy can hear each individual inhalation. Sniffing once, twice, a pause. This is the end, he thinks. They wait. The dog snorts one more time. Silence. And then, the sound of retreating paws. Slowly at first, then faster. Pulled back toward another section of the search. The tobacco and gasoline worked. They are still alive. Still hidden. That was only the first night. The second night is silence. And that is worse. When the frenzy of the search settles into method, there is nothing left to monitor on the outside. You are left alone with your body. 36 hours without movement. The legs went numb in the first 12, manageable, almost peaceful, the quiet of extremities that have agreed to wait. Now sensation returns, and it is agony. Cramps tear through the calves like something pulling the muscle apart from the inside, and there is nothing you can do about it except hold absolutely still and absorb the pain without making a sound, because any movement is noise, and any noise is the end. The spine has pressed into the boards so long it has begun to curve into them, the boundary between flesh and wood blurring into something that is not quite pain and not quite its absence. You stop noticing the smell of the tobacco and gasoline because it has become the smell of the air itself. You stop noticing the darkness because there is nothing else. You cannot stretch. Any movement is noise. Any noise is the end. In the dark, the mind devours itself. It has no other material to work with. What if someone saw us go in? What if our friends are being held right now and questioned about what they know? What if they gave us up under the kind of pressure none of us would fault anyone for breaking under, and you cannot blame them for it? You have decided you cannot blame them for it, but the thought keeps returning anyway? What if this darkness is simply the last thing either of them ever experiences? Alfred almost never speaks. In the earliest hours they communicated in whispers so faint they barely qualified as breath. By the second night, even that is too much. They communicate through touch, a hand pressed against an arm in the dark, still here, still holding. A brief press of fingers. I know, I hear it too. Then, boots, not passing, stopped, right at the woodpile. We've checked everything. What about this place? Inside the wood? Impossible. The dogs checked here twice. Dogs make mistakes too. Silence. Then the sound of boards being moved. One lifted and set aside, the scrape of it loud as a door slamming. A second board. Someone dismantling the outer edge of the pile, working toward the center with the methodical patience of men who have all night. Alfred's hand finds Rudy's in the dark, grips it. See anything? Nothing. Just wood. There's nothing deeper in here. I told you, the dogs would have scented them. The sound of boards being replaced, not hurried. the casual replacement of things by men who have confirmed their absence. Footsteps walking away, absorbed into the sounds of the camp night. In the hollow, neither of them moves for a long time after the footsteps are gone. They survive again. The guards pull back at precisely the mark. The mathematics of the Auschwitz search doctrine 3 days, then withdrawal hold even here. The machine built to find them has, in this one narrow respect, become the thing that saves them. Rudy presses his palm against the board above his head. After 72 hours, even this small motion requires a concentrated act of will. The board shifts. A gap opens, and through it comes the first fresh air in 3 days. It smells of burning. There are 4 crematoria running continuously, and the smell of that burning is the constant ambient texture of this place. But mixed with the burning is cold April earth, and something that might be distance, the suggestion of a world that extends past these fences. Rudy wants to sob. He claws his way upward, shoulders scraping the boards on both sides. Muscles unused for 72 hours respond like machinery left too long in wet weather. He gets his torso above the boards and reaches back down for Alfred. Alfred emerges slowly. When his feet touch the ground, his legs nearly give way. Rudy catches him. For a moment they stand there in the open air, 2 men in 3-day-old suits, holding each other upright, breathing. 2 broken men. Between them and Slovakia. 130 kilometers through occupied Poland, with no food, no map, and bodies currently debating whether they still belong to the men inside them. They move at night only. By day they hide in forests and haystacks. They eat what they find. They drink from streams. On night 7, coming around the edge of Bielsko, a patrol lamp sweeps across the field without warning. Alfred pulls Rudy sideways and down. They hit the mud together and press flat. The beam passes 1 meter to their left, the width of an outstretched arm, and moves on. Neither breathes for the duration of that sweep. 11 more nights like that one. On the 14th day, they cross the Slovak border. They survived. Now comes the part no thriller prepares you for. Rudy dictates for 3 days. He dictates everything. The layout of every gas chamber, every crematorium, the capacity, the timing, the routes the trains take, the names of the SS officers he has watched for 2 years, making the gesture, left, right. The number, 1,750,000. Alfred confirms. Between them, from memory, they produce 40 pages as precise and verifiable as any document the Slovak Jewish Council has ever received. 40 pages. The Vrba-Wetzler Report. His ultimate scream. Hungary is next. 800,000 people. The deportations are scheduled. Warn them now. The report is translated, copied, sent to the Vatican, the Red Cross, the Allies, the Hungarian Jewish Council, the Swiss press, every institution with the power to act on it. And then, silence. Weeks of silence. In London, a senior Foreign Office official receives his copy on the 18th of May, 1944. He reads all 40 pages, sets them down. His memo, filed that afternoon. The information cannot be verified through independent sources. Acting on unverified intelligence risks diplomatic complications. He is not evil. He is careful. He is doing exactly what he was trained to do. In Washington, a War Refugee Board official argues that the railways to Auschwitz should be bombed. His superiors decline. The railways are not military targets. The priority is winning the war. The logic is sound on its own terms. These men also believed they were trying to save lives. They just disagreed about which lives, and when, and how. The deportations begin on May 15th, 12 days after the report reaches Allied hands. 437,000 Hungarian Jews. Cattle cars. Sealed doors. The route heading north. Rudy stands at the station in Jelena when he hears it, the low, industrial rumble of freight trains carrying weight. Getting closer. The train appears. Freight cars, sealed. Moving slowly northward on the line, Rudy traveled himself 2 years ago, in the other direction. The line he knows leads to Auschwitz. The line he has spent 14 days and 40 pages trying to stop. He cannot stop the train. He cannot open the doors. He can only stand on the platform in his civilian suit and watch it pass, car by car, and know what each car contains and where it is going. He watches until the last car disappears. In the weeks that follow, A question forms that Rudy cannot silence. What if the act of escaping, of making it known that someone had broken through the fence and talked, had given the SS a reason to accelerate? What if the report reaching London and Washington had told the Nazi command that the secrecy was breaking down, that the window was closing? What if warning the world removed the last reason the SS had to proceed slowly? He doesn't know. He will never know. That is the kind of doubt that does not resolve when the war ends. It lives in a different part of him than the part that deals in evidence. When the truth reaches the right people and they choose not to act, what do you do with that? In June 1944, journalists finally print the report, not through a single act of courage, through accumulation. Enough copies, in enough different hands, in enough different countries, that the total weight of the information finally exceeded the institutional threshold for suppression. The Swiss press publishes first. The BBC broadcasts it to occupied Europe and to the governments of the world. Newspapers in London and New York run the story with Auschwitz named, the gas chambers described, the number 1,750,000 printed in plain black ink, where no official can claim afterward not to have seen it. Hungary halts the deportations. Under international pressure, the order comes on the 7th of July, 1944. The deportations stop. 200,000 people who were already on the lists, already assigned to the cars, already given their departure dates, do not board the trains. Rudolf Vrba lives until 2006. He becomes a biochemist, just as Zuzi always said he would. He completes his education, publishes research, teaches at the University of British Columbia, and builds the ordinary kind of life: colleagues, students, a house, a career in the careful measurement of things. He is asked throughout his life to speak about Auschwitz at trials, at hearings, at every proceeding through which the world has tried, imperfectly, to hold accountable the people who built the thing Auschwitz was. He always says yes. He speaks every time with the same precision: names, dates, dimensions, procedures, numbers, because precision is the only thing that cannot be disputed. An emotional account can be dismissed as distorted by trauma. A precise account is harder to argue with. The ledger he kept in his head for 2 years is the same ledger he carries into the world again and again for 60 years. In one of his last interviews, a journalist asks him if he considers himself a hero. He is quiet for a moment, not searching for a modest deflection, looking at the question honestly and finding it beside the point. "I only count," he says. "I have always only counted." He is still thinking about the ones he did not count fast enough. The ones on the trains he watched from the platform in Jelena, moving slowly northward in sealed cars, while he stood on the platform, unable to do anything except remember the number. He counted them too. He always counted them. The Vrba-Wetzler Report reached London and Washington 8 weeks before the last train left Hungary. 8 weeks. 40 pages. A Foreign Office memo that said the information could not be verified through independent sources. The question is not what Rudolf Vrba did. He was 19 years old, and he lay in a wooden box for 72 hours with 200 trained dogs searching for him. Then ran for 14 nights through occupied Poland, then dictated 40 pages from memory, then watched the trains run anyway. The question is what the people who received those 40 pages did with them. The question is what we would have done, and whether, 60 years later, with every report that has followed and every institution that received it and carefully filed it away, the answer has changed.